This is a video response to another video titled Got Brains. Um, this is a girl that I've been listening to for some time, and I've seen some of the arguments that go against what she says. She's atheist, and there's a lot of different various religions that disagree with what she says. And while observing both sides of the argument, they're both saying the same thing and they don't even know it. And they're both right and they're both wrong at the same time. This particular video is about free will, and her stance is there is no such thing as free will. And there's been a lot of religious people that have come to me and say there is no choice, there is no such thing as free will. So both atheists and Christians, for the most part, both believe that there's no such thing as free will. And yet, you're using your free will all the time. And yes, it's true that everything is causal. Totally agree with that concept. And yes, it's true. If you look at the Mandelbrot set, that kind of says that everything that's in the smallness of reality is the same in the bigness of reality. They're the same patterns over and over and over again. And while you're seeing the same pattern over and over and over again, it is a science that can back up the truth that there is no free will. Because if it's the same pattern over and over again, then how can you change that pattern when it's always the same? But you can always jump in and out of patterns. You just have to know what the pattern is. So free will, let's give a little bit of an example of what free will is. If I was raising a child and I wanted a child to eat their vegetables, this child will perceive, first, if I was a parent and say you have to eat your peas, and the child doesn't like peas, so the child won't eat peas. That's his free will in action to just say, no, I'm not eating these peas. Now, if a parent wants to make the child eat the peas, then the parent can say, eat your peas and I'll grant you whatever wish you want. Could be dessert or whatever is the more motivating thing that would make this kid eat the peas. So if I offered him his biggest, wildest wish, if you eat this one pea, or if you eat this one, if you don't eat this one pea, you're going to get the worst thing that you ever want. Then this child's brain will see I have choices and I'm going to choose either this or that. So the parent is making the child focus on, okay, I really have no other options except for this or that. And we as humans like choices. We're always making choices. And to able to make a choice means you have the free will to either go in this direction or that direction. So the child will have more of a chance, will be more successful in eating that pea if given the choice, because at the root of everything we have free will, and we like to use that free will as much as possible. And it's always, you know, if I just give the child a limited option, just eat your peas, then the child is either going to say yes or no to that. It's still making the free will choice to do something. If you allow that child to have options, then you have more success in manipulating that child to do whatever it is that you want it to do. Now, we're still looking at the cause. If that child is eating the piece because he has now been given options, then does he really have any free will, or was he tricked into just eating peas? The cause of that child eating those peas would be the parent's belief that you need to eat your vegetables. Meanwhile, that parent has a wide range of vegetables to choose from, but that parent only likes peas, so he's only going to push peas on. So what that parent likes and what rules that parent wants to teach the child is definitely causal to make that child take one, or whichever option, to only eat that one pea. But that parent had the opportunity to say, okay, I'll give you 10 choices. You really should eat your vegetables because it's good for you. Then you're opening up so many different options to have the free will to choose whatever you want to choose. So there always is free will. The reason you can't see your free will is because you're only choosing not to see you have options. And if you're viewing your reality constantly from a perspective that you have no other option, then yes, you're going to be right that you have no free will. But if you open your mind to a completely different perspective and realize at all times I have other options, and at all times I can have access to all of my options, then you are able to choose what direction you want to take. To jump out of a pattern, you have to be able to recognize or be aware of that pattern. You need more information. So the information that you use to justify there is no free will, then you're going to always be right. But if you gain more information, then the other reality that there is free will is now open to you. You have a lot of science that will back up there is no free will, but you also have an awful lot of science that says, yeah, you do. You're choosing all of the time. You have a choice to respond to my video, and you have a choice to have the conversation, are you right or wrong? But it all depends on whether you want to choose to be right or wrong, choose to respond yes or no. The fact that there's even a yes or no choice means you have free will. And yes, it's causal. What all of your experiences will make you do stuff, but you have to jump out of that and decide, okay, what is it I really want? While you have no free will, then nothing you want will ever work out. But as long as you do have free will, then your world opens up and you can make anything happen. Um, religion is so screwed up because they contradict themselves all the time. They're saying there is no such thing as free will. We're all sinners and Jesus died on a cross for our sins. Yet the Bible is basically saying you need to choose right from wrong at all times. How can you choose right and wrong? How can you have those two choices without having a sense of free will? Like both sides of the argument are completely screwed up You have to pick one or the other. Having no free will gives you limited options. Viewing life from a perspective that you do have free will opens up the world completely. So it's up to you to choose, have the free will to choose. Could I be wrong? And if I'm wrong, what does that do for me?